Welcome back to Politically Animated, folks, to another episode of Reality Check with Common Sense, your go-to source for truth served with a side of spice. Today, we've got Karoline Leavitt, aka press secretary with a backbone, going toe-to-toe with a reporter who, let's be real, probably slept through Civics 101. Grab your popcorn, this one's juicy. Okay, first of all, this reporter walked into that press room like they were auditioning for a daytime soap opera. The bold and the clueless. And then here comes Karoline, swooping in like a walking constitution with a mic. Seriously, she had the receipts, the rules, and the reality.
Can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws, and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are. Christian Day Talk.
Thanks, Karoline. Just real quick, you mentioned the inflation executive order the president signed, but egg prices have skyrocketed since President Trump took office. So what specifically is he doing to lower those costs for Americans?
Really glad you brought this up, because there is a lot of reporting out there that is putting the onus on this White House for the increased cost of eggs. I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office, or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country. We also have seen the cost of everything, not just eggs. Bacon, groceries, gasoline have increased because of the inflationary policies of the last administration. As far as the egg shortage, what's also contributing to that is that the Biden administration and the Department of Agriculture directed the mass killing of more than 100 million chickens, which has led to a lack of chicken supply in this country, therefore a lack of egg supply, which is leading to the shortage. So I will leave you with this point. This is an example of why it's so incredibly important that the Senate moves swiftly to confirm all of President Trump's nominees, including his nominee for the United States Department of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, who is already speaking with Kevin Hassett, who's leading the economic team here at the White House, on how we can address the egg shortage in this country. As for costs, I laid out the plethora of ways that President Trump has addressed saving costs for the American people over the past week. He looks forward to continuing to doing that in the days ahead. Thank you guys so much.
Did you hear that? That is what competence sounds like. Ladies and gentlemen, it's like watching someone turn on a flashlight in a room full of people who were convinced darkness was a vibe. Oh, bless this poor soul. The moment Karoline started quoting actual immigration laws, you could see the mental Windows XP error screen pop up in their head. Like, illegal? Wait, does that mean breaking the law is illegal? Groundbreaking stuff, right? Look, I'm all for being polite, but let's call it what it is. The southern border has become the world's most popular turnstile. It's like an all-you-can-cross buffet with 0 reservations required. And Karoline's over here saying, ma'am, this buffet closed at 11 p.m. in 1986. But aren't they seeking the American dream? Yes, and the dream involves a legal door, not a Kool-Aid Man entrance through the wall.
To be clear, violent criminals do not receive precedence in terms of the deportations taking place.
The president has also said two things can be true at the same time. We want to deport illegal criminals, illegal immigrants from this country, but the president has said that, of course, the illegal criminal drug dealers, the rapists, the murderers, the individuals who have committed heinous acts on the interior of our country and who have terrorized law-abiding American citizens, absolutely, those should be the priority of ICE, but that doesn't mean that the other illegal criminals who entered our nation's borders are off the table.
Understood. Then let me ask you a separate question about the confusion that still exists across the country right now as it relates to the freeze or the pause as it's described. President Trump, of course, ran one of the key policy items was that he was going to lower prices, lower the cost of everything from groceries, as he often said. But in many of the cases, it would seem that some of these moves could raise prices for real Americans on everything from low-income heating, that program, child care programs. Will nothing that the president's doing here in terms of the freeze in these programs raise prices on ordinary Americans?
What particular actions are you referring to that
I'm
would...
referring to LHEAP right now. That's the low-income heating program, for example. We can talk about, there's no clarity, so I could refer to a lot of them. We don't know what they are specifically. Can you tell us that LHEAP is not one of those affected?
So you're asking a hypothetical based on programs that you can't even identify.
Well, I just identified.
What I can tell you
just to be clear, since you guys haven't identified, let's do it together just for Americans at home. Medicaid, is that affected?
I gave you a list of examples: Social Security, Medicare, welfare benefits, food stamps that will not be impacted by this federal pause. I can get you the full list after this briefing from the Office of Management and Budget. But I do want to address the cost cutting because that's certainly very important, and cutting the cost of living in this country. President Trump has taken historic action over the past week to do that. He actually signed a memorandum to deliver emergency price relief for American families, which took a number of actions. I can walk you through those. He also repealed many onerous Biden administration regulations. We know over the past 4 years, American households has been essentially taxed $55,000 in regulations from the previous administration. President Trump, with the swipe of his pen, rescinded those, which will ultimately put more money back in the pockets of the American people. So deregulation is a big deal. And then when it comes to energy, I mean, the president signed an executive order to declare a national energy emergency here at home, which is going to make America...
And there you have it. Karoline Leavitt proving once again that being a press secretary is more than just spinning fairy tales. Finally, someone who knows that laws exist and isn't afraid to say it out loud. You've got to respect a woman who drops truth bombs like they're party favors. So here's the deal. Karoline is out here showing the rest of DC how it's done. Meanwhile, some folks still think the border's just a suggestion and that rules are optional. Spoiler alert, they're not. Big props to Karoline for handing out lessons faster than a Border Patrol training manual. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do we need more Karolines in DC, or are we doomed to a future of press secretaries who need Google to explain the Constitution? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more no-nonsense breakdowns of the chaos we call politics.